Okay, now in the first installment of this video, we went over how to access this database, how to download it, and how to get it open. Now that we've done that, let's talk about how to use it. First, this is a very big database. See this number here? 30,589. This is the number of records in the database. This is a database of the recordings that I have in my music collection. At least the ones I've gotten to so far. I'm always adding to it. Now, I use the database in different ways, but usually I begin by alphabetizing the information by song title. So in order to do that, I want to highlight the song title field in this record. And then I want to go up here and click ascending A through Z, like this. And that rearranges the information. Now, if I had clicked this one, descending, I would have had all the song titles Z through A. If I decide that I don't want things organized this way, I can always click Remove Filter Sort, and that puts it back to where I originally had it. But I want to organize these things right now, ascending A through Z by song title. But there are other ways to organize information. For example, I might want to organize things according to copyright date. So I could highlight the copyright date field, then click ascending A through Z. And I've got things arranged differently. Let's go to View and look at the datasheet view for a moment. And we can see that the copyright field is blank. And that's because all the blanks come first, the songs for which I don't have a copyright date. But if we scroll down here, we can see that we've got some really old songs first that were published in the 1800s, and then we very quickly move up here into the 20th century. Now, this kind of information might come in handy if we're maybe thinking about a final project which involves Depression-era songs, maybe songs written between 1930 and 1939. So we could scroll down here. I should tell you something about how to scroll through and navigate this database. You see this little thing right here? If you grab this, left click and hold, and move it up and down, this allows you to scroll very quickly through the database. If you need to scroll more slowly, you can put your cursor on the arrow going up if you want to scroll up more slowly, or down here on the arrow going down if you want to scroll down more slowly. But we see that right along in here is where the 1929 songs end and the 1930 songs begin. And if I wanted to, I could scroll all the way through here and see songs from 1930, 31, 32, right on down the line. Now, there would be thousands of songs. That doesn't mean that there are thousands of different songs, because I have a lot of duplicates and triplicates, and some songs I have 10, 12, 20 recordings of. But you get them all in order if you want to look through them. Or maybe you would want to think about a final project which involves World War II songs. Well, then you would look for songs that were published between 1940 and 1945. Let's move back here to the form view for a minute and think about other things that we might do with this. You know, maybe I would want to think about a final project which involves songs from Broadway shows. Well, I could put my cursor in this box and I could click ascending A through Z, and I would have things organized according to Broadway shows. Perhaps I want to think about a final project with songs from films. Okay, I could put my cursor here, do ascending A through Z, and have things organized according to what film the song came from, remembering that the blanks will always come first in the datasheet view. Now, before doing anything else, I'm going to highlight song title, and I'm going to organize things again according to song title. Now, sometimes when I use this database, I'm looking for a certain song. And the easiest way to find that is to use the Find option right here. Click this window open, and move it someplace where it's not in the way. And let's say that I'm looking for the song A Foggy Day. It's a famous Gershwin song. Okay. And I know I've got a lot of copies of A Foggy Day. So I'll type in A Foggy Day and I'll click Find Next. And whoops, what happened? I didn't get it. I must have done something wrong. I wonder what that might have been. Remember this, in this database, song titles which begin with articles, a, an, and the articles come last. So A Foggy Day would be entered foggy day, comma, a. So that was my problem. So I think what I'll do is I think I'll just type in foggy day. I think I'll forget the A. And instead of start, yeah, you might have whole field listed, or you might have any part of field or start of field. So I'm going to do start of field here, foggy day, and now I get something else happened. What happened now? Well, remember, we've just been talking about copyright dates, and I left my cursor in the copyright date field. But I'm looking for a title. So in order to have this find mechanism look for what you want, you've got to make sure that your cursor is in the proper field. Now, if I put my cursor in the song title field, I'm still looking for the song's Foggy Day. And I'll click Find Next and see what happens. Now I've got it because I had the correct match and I had my cursor in the field that I wanted. Okay, let's take a look at the datasheet view for a moment. Yikes, a lot of foggy days. Now maybe I'm looking for a specific recording of A Foggy Day. Or maybe I'm just looking for information about the song. Let's assume for the moment that I just want information about the song. Okay, I'll go back to Form View. And here's what I can tell about this song, A Foggy Day. I can see that it was written by George and Ira Gershwin. I can see that it was written in 1937. That's the copyright date. I can see that it comes from a film, A Damsel in Distress. I can see that the film was from 1947. Now, if I move over here to the notes, I can see that the song was introduced by Fred Astaire and that there were popular recordings of it in 1937 by Fred Astaire and in 1938 by Bob Crosby and his orchestra. Now, typically in this database, when you see the phrase popular recording, that means that at some point that recording reached the top 20 of the Billboard sales charts. I'll bet that if you went to YouTube and typed in Fred Astaire, A Foggy Day, Damsel in Distress, you'd find a movie clip of this very thing. Now let's note a couple of other things about Form View. All of the fields down to here, show/film date, all of those fields are about the song. That information remains the same in every record of A Foggy Day, as do the notes in Notes 1. Now the fields below this, starting with album title, date recorded, CD release, those fields provide information specific to the recording. And that information is different in every record. What album it's from, when the album was recorded, what the record label is, when it was released on CD, if applicable. Remember that a lot of the music in my database is older music. So maybe it was originally released in the 30s or 40s or 50s. Maybe it was originally released on a vinyl album or an old 78. When possible, I indicate when the song was first released by the record company and also when it was released on CD. Sometimes I don't have both pieces of information, but when I've got it, I use it. Now let me say one important thing about these final projects. Just because you have a piece of information doesn't mean that it needs to go into your final project. Only include those pieces of information that are relevant to what you want to say about a recording. And remember that the most important piece of information doesn't come from this database or the internet. It comes from your own head. And that information is, why did you choose this recording? Of all the millions of recordings that you could have chosen, why did you choose this one? And while I'm thinking about it, let me say one more thing. A common problem in final projects is that sometimes I have no idea what recording the student is talking about. Maybe a student says something like, "The first selection on my CD is George Gershwin's famous song, A Foggy Day. It was written in 1937 for the movie A Damsel in Distress. It was introduced by Fred Astaire," etc., etc. And then they move on. But that information really doesn't help me. There are 1,000 recordings of A Foggy Day. I need to know which one you listened to, liked, and inserted into your final project, and why. Okay? Good luck. Now be sure to watch the last little video on using the database, and I'll show you how to use the advanced filter sort tool.